Welcome to the Morning Slice. Hey there, this is your host, Brianna McNerney, and I'm so happy to have you back for another episode of the Morning Slice. Today, we're talking about how to turn your day around when maybe you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed or something has happened in your day that has totally flipped everything on its head and you want to get it back on track. I'm hoping to give you some insight that will help you do that. And I'm coming at it from the trenches because today I feel kind of funky. I feel kind of tired, kind of moody, angsty. And as I was sitting outside before I sat down to record this, I thought about how useful it might be to just talk through what the process is that I take myself through to get myself, situated on a better foot so that I can continue showing up, like by recording this podcast episode and continuing to, connect with the people who are important to me in my life. And first, I'll say that one of the reasons that I'm recording this is kind of part of the process. Accountability is super helpful. And by me coming here and recording this for you, it feels like I'm holding myself to the standard of, working through what needs to be worked through so that I can continue to put out quality content that will change people's lives, that will inspire you, that will help you to accomplish more in a way that feels really good for you. Starting with myself, I need to walk my own talk. That's very important to me. And this helps me do that. This is part of that. So, just keep that in mind, that when you're feeling like you've started your day on the wrong foot, it might help to have somebody that you can go to for accountability, to talk things through, to help you process. And I am someone who loves to help with that. So if you want to reach out, then I will leave ways you can do that in the show notes. But let's keep moving. And I'll just tell you, let me paint the picture for you that when I woke up this morning, it actually started last night. I just felt so tired. We're getting ready to go on vacation for a few days. So there's a lot to do. I'm trying to get, episodes of this podcast all up and loaded, things all buttoned up at work so that I can actually unplug for a few days. And then there's household things, making food. We have to take the dog to the kennel and get him all ready to do that and his stuff already. Laundry that needs to be done. Would love to leave the house clean. There's a million things to do. I'm sure you can probably relate. And for me, sometimes when I find myself in this place, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And unfortunately, it's not the most helpful response, but can make me kind of tired. Right now, I'm getting a little bit of a headache. We don't have a ton of healthy food either. So I think it's a culmination of like diet over the recent week. Hasn't necessarily set me up to have the best energy. But I just was walking my dog around in the morning and I had this class that I wanted to get to at 9, and I could feel the aggravation inside of me. I could see how quick I wanted to be with my dog and, getting him to do his business so that I could get on with my day. And if you've never met my dog, he is, one of the things that he really likes to do in the morning, lucky guy, is to just sit in the yard and kind of sniff and maybe chew on some sticks, but like have a little meditative morning moment. And usually a lot of days this works out because I have some stuff in the garden to do, so I can just tie him up to his lead. And this tends to be my morning routine. It actually really helps me get my head on straight to spend, 20, 30 minutes in the garden in the morning. And Maynard gets to have that moment. Now, today, as I mentioned, I had a class that I wanted to get to. It was a meditation kind of group study sort of thing that I haven't actually gotten to in the last couple of weeks. So, I had that on my radar. I kind of wanted to do that. But again, I had this feeling of aggravation, quickness, and I knew that energy was not going to get me through the day, the next 2 days. It's not going to help me get ready for vacation. It's going to make things go slower. It's not going to help me put this podcast out and get the work things done that I need to have done. It's not going to help me check things off the list. It's not going to help me move forward. And it doesn't feel good. So I know when I'm feeling that way that something is off. Like I'm not in sync with where I'm going, and it's not feeling easy, it's feeling hard. So this is what I did. Okay. And I'm trying to break it down into steps for you so that it's super clear. Let's make it as clear as possible. And again, I've said in past episodes, this is a conversation. So please always feel free to comment. Always feel free to ask questions, add your perspective. I will love to hear that. But these are the steps that tend to work for me. And I guess I should also add a little note to say that I created a course called Conscious Wholeness that I've been working on for years. And it's kind of like a theory of wellness that I do lean into on a regular basis for kind of exactly what we're talking about here. Those aren't the steps that I'm going to be taking you through, though I can see how they do, like, they're similar. I mean, they fit with each other, but that's kind of the foundation that I move from, is this foundation of wholeness, where really in conscious wholeness, I've provided practices and perspectives that have now become kind of the norm for me. So if you don't feel like it's easy for you to figure out what you're even thinking and feeling and how to process that in a way that leaves you on track for what you want, that might be something to check out. I'll leave a link to that in the comments. But so today, here's what I did. The very first thing that I needed to do was to slow down. Because as I said, I was trying to kind of rush to stay on my timeline. And something that I'm really working on, like perpetually in life, is to embrace the flow of the day a little bit more, to release the control that I have over the situation and just allow the day to look like whatever it wants to look like. So in this case, it looked like giving in to my dog, which might not be the best training for him, but it looked like, instead of attending meditation class, just saying, okay, fine, I hooked Maynard up to his lead and I sat my butt down in the grass right next to him and just made a little space for myself. I gave myself the permission to slow down and get present with what was actually happening for me. And I wonder how often you allow yourself to do that. Do you find yourself trying to push through and stay on schedule, or do you allow yourself to slow down and get present when the day calls for it? Something to consider. And so in slowing down and getting present, I made this space for myself, right? And this is the kind of space where conscious wholeness practice comes in handy. So making space for myself, getting present, looked like really being willing to observe what was my emotion like. I was feeling a little bit aggravated, angsty, sad. And what came to mind was a class that I taught actually called How to Spot Self Sabotage Before It Sinks Your Ship a few years ago. And I realized that, my responsibilities feel like they're increasing, and I'm in a place where I want to call in more responsibility, right? I want to call in more and more impact kind of perpetually. And that includes having more relationships. It includes having more things to do, more plates to juggle. But sometimes what I've come to recognize about myself, and I recognized it a little bit deeper as I made this space for myself, I recognized that I can kind of use sadness and angst as first of all, as a reason to sabotage myself. Usually for me, that looks like, instead of doing these steps that I'm talking to you about right now, like slowing down, getting present, making space for myself, in the past, I would feel this way and I would push through and I would try to control the outcome of my day, which would usually end in an evening of like maybe too much indulgence in alcohol, or maybe a fight with my partner, or whatever it may be, because I kind of stretched myself to the ultimate limit by pushing through instead of making this space. So really reflecting on what emotions are present and what they are doing for you, like what patterns are here, are there beliefs that are coming up for you, and what is making this moment so uncomfortable, so that you can then take this next step, which is to make yourself more comfortable, give yourself what you need. What I really needed in that moment was kind of the last step I'm going to take you through, which is really meditating and connecting with a source of power and inspiration. But, what you need could be different. Like maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need a friend. Maybe you need a walk or some time to just move or stretch. Maybe you need some time to write. Uh, you know, and even deeper, like maybe you need to express your love for yourself. Maybe you need to do something that really shows yourself that loving kindness and helps you feel appreciated, supported, loved, belonging. That's usually what's at the core here. And for me, what I found is actually kind of interesting, because I've found in my life that sometimes sadness and angst, I can get kind of comfortable there. It has almost become a way of feeling free to me to be in that space, because it gives me an excuse to like shuck off all my other responsibilities and just like, kind of go into self-pity and like self-medicating or like whatever I want to do. I think it's also freeing because it is my way of rebelling against social standards that I don't agree with. My way of showing up that isn't conforming to the happy norm that I see all around me. So, this can look like all kinds of different things. And so when I notice that, for instance, that I'm going into like an angst or a sadness to fill some sort of need for freedom, to feel free, to feel like unburdened by responsibilities, then I can do other things to cultivate that feeling for myself, right? Because I don't need to feel sad or angsty in order to feel unburdened by my responsibilities or free. I was having this conversation with a client over in Conscious Wholeness yesterday who was working with the new belief of I don't need to be sad for people to want to be my friend. So, there are all kinds of different ways that this plays out. But what I suggest, again, to kind of recap, is when you're looking to turn your day around, slow down and get present with the emotions that are coming up. Make space to understand them. And then once you've identified like what need these emotions are pointing to, what need they might themselves be trying to fill, you can give yourself what it is that you need. And a note here is that many people, we resist doing this for ourselves big time. People do not like getting into their emotions, generally speaking. And I talk about emotions all the time, and I resist this big time. It feels scary to get into your emotions, and a lot of people are afraid that if they allow themselves to go there, then they won't have the tools to get themselves back out. And, that could be true. Again, if you don't have the tools, then I highly recommend Conscious Wholeness or just getting some other kind of accountability and support with that. But the truth of the matter is that once we really do allow ourselves to make that space, get present, make that space for ourselves and feel what we are feeling, usually if there is a real emotion there that really needs to be felt, it will dissipate within about a minute. A minute might be long. It really doesn't take that long to feel a really deep sense of completion and, lightening of that emotional burden when we're willing to go in and look at it. So, those first 3 steps I mentioned were slowing down and getting present, making space for yourself, giving yourself what you need. And then, as I jumped to earlier, a 4th step I'll offer here is to really meditate, really create a little bit of extra space once you've cleared all of this out to connect with whatever it is that makes you feel connected to everything. Connect to your soul. When I meditate, I usually think about my soul, which I believe lives right in the 3rd eye, or I will imagine a beam of light that connects from the top of my head. There are all sorts of different things that you can do, and maybe it's prayer, maybe it is a different form of meditation or a different sort of ritual or some sort of like spiritual expression, whatever feels right for you. But really create the time to connect with what you believe in, where you're going, so that you can direct your efforts in the rest of your day towards that thing. And, sometimes directing your efforts towards what you want can mean creating even more space for yourself. So for instance, my day might include some of that. It might have to. Last time we went on vacation was kind of a hot mess. Oh my gosh. I ended up super sick with salmonella the entire time. That's a story for a different day. It was like scary, bad sickness. And part of what led up to that was in the days leading up to the vacation, I had been pushing myself so hard to get everything done, staying up later, trying to get everything done, just kind of like really pushing myself to the max, right? But that put me in a position where I was like immunocompromised is probably strong, not the right word here, but like my immune system was weaker, and it really swamped me. It allowed a sickness to come in and just like overrun me. So, part of my day, even though I'm here recording this for you, right? And I'm going to do more work on the podcast after this to get things ready to go. And I still have to pack and I still have to do all of that stuff. I also know that part of what I'm working towards is a healthy, relaxing vacation. And if I burn myself out in the next couple days trying to get there, then it's going to set me up to need even longer to like sink into that, relaxing flow. It might put me in a position to get sick again. Like maybe, I don't know, need a lot more sleep than I want while we're there, whatever it may be. So just a nod to the fact that creating more space for yourself, or, really whatever action you're inspired to take to get you closer to your goals, it might not be what you necessarily think it would be. So I hope that this was clear. I hope that it was helpful. Those steps, again, just to reiterate, are slowing down and getting present, making space for yourself, giving yourself what you need, and then connecting with a greater sense of wholeness and what you're working towards. These are the steps that I take to turn my day around so that if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, if I've just got a lot of stress going on, I can slow down. I can get into a more productive, efficient, healthy, calm, balanced way of being to move forward with my day and ultimately, get more done in less time, do it in a way that works for me. Do it in a way that supports my relationships, supports my body. And that's what we're all about here. All that I want to do basically with my life is to help you have that amazing professional impact that you want to have, the social impact you want to have with your creative work. I want you to be very successful in those things, but I want you to do it in a way that works for you. I want you to do it in a way that takes care of you, that takes care of the relationships that are most important to you. That is what I am here for. So if you want to connect about that, I would love to chat with you. Look in the show notes for ways to do that. And I will leave it there for today. I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to The Morning Slice. Take care.